Entrepreneurs, it's a balancing act. You can appreciate where you are and still look forward to where you're going. I never think, would never recommend that you focus so much on what you hate about where you are while you're trying to go where you're going. It's almost impossible to build from a negative place and from a place of hate. I don't look at negativity the same way that everybody else does because it can be truthful and it cannot be good news, and that doesn't make it negative. So let's just say where you work now, it's not a good place. It's not conducive. I've worked in several. There is probably, there are very few uh, great encounters I've had with employment. Very few. Some of that is self inflicted, but a lot of it had to do with the employers and some of the places because I worked in a lot of small companies. So I've seen a lot of things. When I finally learned to look at the things and to see what and ask myself why, and to possibly put myself in their shoes in order to understand what they were doing, that's when I got the best results. Not just trying to get along with the people, but even understanding the owner. Like I said, I worked in a lot of small businesses, so I had access and connection to the owners. So as I would work in those places and I was able to see, and I began to ask myself, why would they do this? What is this policy? What's that? And once I began to look at it from that, from the eyes of an entrepreneur, it changed the way I thought about things. Not just things at that job, but also things that I would do going forward. Have you ever told yourself, I would never do this, or I would never do that, or it doesn't make sense? If you have ever said those words and then later on realize there was a reason for it and you find yourself doing it, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm smiling because I know you have. It may not have been with a job, but you said it in relationships, you said it with friendships, you said it in family, you said it just to yourself in things that you've done. I said all of that to say, in the same way that you look at your employer now and you think everything is so stupid and so dumb, and yet they are smart enough to employ you. Let that sink. I'm not discouraging your entrepreneurship. I am encouraging your entrepreneurial mind, because everything that you think is stupid, everything that you think is ignorant, everything that you think makes no sense, and the things that aggravate you the most are the things you need to explore the most. And you need to understand why. Understanding why, asking yourself what is the purpose, is the beginning of the evolution of your mind from employee to employer. You cannot get from employee to employer until you begin to think, to try to figure out, to ask yourself those hard questions. When you do that, that's when you've changed your entire way of thinking, and that's when you're on your way. I promise you, you will not get there without that way of thinking. Now, let's just say you go through it and it makes no sense. Then you've got to ask yourself, how are they in business and how are they able to make money enough to employ me? Now, they're not paying you enough to be rich. Nobody does. When you start to employ people, you're not going to pay them enough to be rich. Think about it. Like I said, this video is all about expanding and cultivating and challenging that entrepreneur mindset. Because until you ask yourself why, until you ask yourself what's the purpose of some of the things you don't like, you're not ready to go to the next level. And I only say that out of love, because to get to the next level, you got to challenge your biggest competition. And your biggest competition is not your friend, it's not your frenemy, it's the person you see in the mirror every day. Challenging your thought process is going to be the thing that takes you from one level to the next. It's been your girl, the Queen Bee of doing business better. Because, hey, I want to see you win. Remember, I only accept serious clients. Bye-bye.